Morning.
Got it.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Donnie. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Stevie.
Steve, Shannon Carlisle got in touch with Barbara, and Barbara's going to be speaking on Zoom to her class about collecting, Sherlockian collecting.
Next.
That'll be neat.
There we go.
Hi, Jonathan.
Good evening.
Hey, John.
We're just finishing up dinner.
Do I see Mr. Scharfman walking behind you?
Yes, you do. He barely can walk after all the wine.
Hey, behave, Macuris.
Hey, like you've got any right to tell me that.
He's got a lot of lefts.
Who's that? Julie Macuris.
Oh,
My good
Julie,
buddy.
I'm doing the best I can.
So I saw you. Does the other guy look worse than you, Bob?
The other guy.
You got that right. I couldn't see him. Both my eyes were shut. It was full shut. Yeah, we took care of him all right.
Yeah, no.
Meantime, I can't figure out this.
Regular decaf. Regular.
Excuse me, I gotta work on the computer next to me.
Decaf. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Switch on.
Bob, you want some?
Move your hand.
Yeah, I'll have some. Black as a Leonard's heart.
Watch his pad. Okay. I'm not looking.
Oh, what did you do?
Oh,
No.
Turn on the computer.
How'd you do that?
There's a little button there.
Where's the little button? Right here?
No.
Okay, that's my email.
Oh, there.
So, how are you all?
Fine.
Who's winning the Oscars?
No.
Not me.
Did they have movies this year? Are you serious? I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I think last year we went to the movies
Yeah.
one time. And it was my birthday at the end of November. And Mike rented out the movie theater.
Well, the reality is, I don't, with all my streaming services, most of the movies were available. I mean, the day they opened, they were available for streaming for free.
You
So,
want to go in on mine?
Well, we took the family to see for my birthday, Ghostbusters, the new one. So
well,
it was good.
So much.
Oh, no problem. Hey.
it was,
Don't do what I just did.
well, we have 57 registrants. We'll see how many people show up.
Man, that'd be cool if we got all.
58.
Okay, what are you on Google Chrome?
You can't make the difference. Open up Google Chrome.
John, I had trouble with my internet and I registered 17 times. Does that count?
Donnie.
No, Don, I don't think once you registered, it's registered once.
Well, Donna, you misunderstood what they meant by 17 steps.
Yeah, I did.
Well, even if he registered 17 times, he could meet a member of the Legion of Zoom.
Right.
There you go.
Maybe he is just trying to get to 21.
I love it.
Oh.
That'd take a lot more. I don't have that many registrants.
Hey, Rudy,
Hey, what were you saying, Julie?
I just wondered if you've watched Bad Santa again lately.
I have.
Not since Christmas?
About it with my aunt,
Are you on?
who, that's her guilty pleasure too.
Okay.
The 3 Bs.
I tell you, I was never so proud of as being able to take a picture of my sister and me in front of the television and sending it to Rudy for Christmas.
How do I do this?
I love that.
This is all.
Almost as good as my cameo in your story.
That's right. That's right.
What's your normal email?
My own one is Robin Sharp.
No, but Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you do is,
The Taurus Tech Support Center.
the Taurus Tech Support Center is busy.
Whoops.
Somewhere I have a list of my Zoom meetings because I'm trying to get in those Legion of Zoom.
Yeah, same here. I'm not quite there yet. I've got about
No.
maybe 9.
I think I've got like 13. I've also got about that number of notebooks down here, so I have to,
Yeah, like me, I hoard them.
yeah, oh, well,
What's your name? Put your pen.
Those in yellow pads.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Bob, is that you?
Yeah, Bob's over here.
He's give him a few seconds. He's signing in.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And while everyone else seems to be sharing dinner, my name is Val. I'm a member of the Park Lone Star, but I happen to live in Pennsylvania
Oh,
and just north of Gettysburg, but I lived in Chicago
well,
a
Val,
long time. So hello.
Hello.
Hey, Val.
Those of you who
Bob,
don't know
anything-
me, I'm Sandy Cozen, Demorest, New Jersey, Ash, and Legion of Zoom, and a bunch of other things.
and Val, anything to do with Val's Halla? Oh, no, no, no. It was a famous record store in Oak Park. Really?
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I used to live 2 blocks away there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was right by the Oak Park Avenue stuff, wasn't it? Or was it the other one?
I was
not-
not allowed to go in.
What?
Because I spent so much money.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
Morehouse, yeah.
Uh,
It used to be.
and I,
So, Robert.
I'll mute.
It's not Linda.
It's not me. Is it up?
You need to just mute everybody and start over.
Hi, Diane.
Hey, Danny, how you doing? Good, it's Bob Sharpsman.
Hi, Diane.
hi all.
I'm muting everybody. Unmute yourselves.
Diane, how you doing?
Because my,
Jonathan, you still have a bunch of people unmuted.
Sharpsman.
There you go.
I was ordered to unmute.
And it's her.
well, it's not me, and it's not Bob. Bob couldn't,
Well, close down his.
It looks like, Diane, you've joined twice and you're getting feedback between your 2 devices.
oh, that'll do it. Mr. Waxenberg, I presume.
Very much the top half. here.
In the flesh.
Yes, I see Diane's name twice. So unmute you. You want to talk?
I said, that's better than registering 17 times like Donnie joked he had.
Buddies, Diane, I'm gonna kill you in the second one.
Call in the drone strike.
I'm gonna kill this one if I can.
All right, Bob, here's regular coffee.
Thank you.
Coffee.
Yeah, where's we said, well,
Do you want any?
we just had a full meal.
You want coffee?
Not right now. What I need is my papers.
Yeah, John and Linda were nice enough to host us for Bob and I for dinner. Bob and I are neighbors. And Bob's been my chauffeur lately, my Uber.
There's one-eyed chauffeur now.
Well, we survived Dayton and back.
There we go. I got rid of Diane's second one. Now maybe I can unmute everybody.
So Rudy, can I tell you my Uber story?
Oh, this will be good.
It's quick. Last June, I had a cardiac ablation.
Oh, that's right. I think you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I got to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. and it's on the other side of us, Twin Cities from us. And Mike's comment to me was, it should be pretty easy to get an Uber that time in the morning.
Oh, 500 or something.
Yeah.
My God.
He thought he was quite funny.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure you had the frying pan ready.
No, actually, I thought he was funny too.
I'm gonna get on here in a second. I'm just a Mac user trying to figure out Windows. Shit.
Donnie, we were just talking about going to Toronto in September.
Unmute yourself. Well, yeah, I don't know if
If they let us Yanks in.
Well, I said to the person who sent me the announcement, there's only one problem with the conference in Toronto.
Yeah.
The last day is the first night of Rosh Hashanah.
Oh,
What's the last day? The Sunday?
Yep.
Ah.
I think I see the wheels turning with
So
Don.
I can't get back from Toronto
I don't know if I'm.
in time for the high holidays.
Wabash, I'm-
So I really don't know that
I'll
I
probably
can't
go
go.
to Toronto.
Maybe we could have services here.
Okay, you
There
want,
you go.
you want to have my eight kids and grandkids with it?
All welcome.
Yeah, but they're frankly more, in my Sherlockian world, they come first.
For sure.
So,
Sorry for all the trouble, everybody. I had to go off and then come on again. My dog wanted treats. She's right here. So I had to go fetch them. Sorry for any inconvenience.
Oh, you're fine.
and
Oh,
it's not unusual for groups to frankly ignore
Yeah.
non-Christian events. In fact, no. It has to do with tonight. Linda and I first met Mr. Holmes in Union City, Michigan, at a Sherlock Holmes Mystery Weekend, and we wanted to attend the next year, but the weekend was the weekend of Rosh Hashanah, so we couldn't. So, but luckily, we attended the next year. So we've met Mr. Holmes twice, and I'll leave it at that for now. But unfortunately, you can't think. I guess you can't think of every holiday
No.
when if you schedule events.
And Jewish holidays change every year.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a set date.
And they're
Well, on the
not
contrary.
usually on most calendars that are printed. So if you have a calendar in your house someplace,
Actually, they don't,
not on
they,
there, you need a separate calendar to coordinate those holidays.
Well, see,
That
even
that's a
Google.
myth. well, that's a myth that they change every year.
They
They're
are
always
listed
the
online,
same.
but you have to know where to look for them.
They are the
The
same date.
Rosh Hashanah is the first of the month of Tishrei every year, whether it's 5782 or 5783.
Yes, that's true, but the reality is we don't work on a Jewish calendar. So the Sherlockian way.
John,
Well,
I- you know
Except
who
in
set,
Israel.
you know who set the dates for that? It was
And even they use
Cliff Goldfarb, who's
the
the
regular
chair of the-
calendar most of the time.
Yeah.
You need to talk to Cliff.
Yeah. Somebody has to talk to Cliff.
Why? I mean, it's the reality is I respect the fact that it was chosen that weekend. It just unfortunately I can't go.
Not blaming you. I'm just saying I wonder if you know, because he's religious. Anyways, we'll figure it out.
So you have to broadcast it on Zoom.
Pardon me?
You should make it available on Zoom.
You know what? I mean, obviously everybody's debating that, whether you're going to have these hybrid things and stuff like that. And it was decided that if you were going to do it on Zoom, then nobody would come, like to Toronto. So that was part of the discussion. And, you know, and then even having like the speakers, you know, it's so, I mean, one good thing about, never mind the pandemic, but like was, you know, if you have speakers, they don't have to come to your city and travel and put them up, and they can do it by Zoom. So that's one great thing, except that, you know, like we wanted some live speakers at the library, and, you know, like Julie knows what I'm talking about. You want bodies, live bodies.
Maybe you can set it so if you Zoom, you have to have an address more than 200 miles away or something like that.
I don't know. I'll run it up the flagpole. It's you know, I say recently, you know, they're trying to decide about COVID restrictions and relaxing. I have this saying, I'm glad I'm not deciding that, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I understand. We're planning in 6 weeks. Going to Paris. We're supposed to go to Paris.
Oh, wow.
And we're hoping that nothing changes.
Mon Dieu.
Yeah.
That chapter may not be written.
That's true.
Yeah.
Illustrious clients have Zoom
Hybrid, right?
that allow you if you're over 150 miles away
Yeah.
or something like that.
Who was telling me about that yesterday?
Or sick.
Shelley Gage
Or
was telling me
sick.
about that yesterday.
You're sick of
So
it's kind of hard to know what to do with some of the bigger meetings. Right now, we had the Speckled Band cancel fairly recently.
Last week, I think.
And there are a bunch of people who have got tickets to fly into Boston for this thing that are non-refundable. So what they're doing is getting together and extirpating a bunch of oysters because you know, they get to play together.
Maybe
And
they
we had
could
a
fly
similar
in.
thing. We had a similar thing with the hounds. We just didn't know.
Yeah,
And what I was saying to, you know, the master is, all right, it's great that you want me to come, but I'm not going to order plane tickets until I know you're holding the silly event.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the time for refundable tickets. You end up paying
Yeah.
more, but you can get your money back.
Hey, Julie, did you get any money back from New York?
For
Did
what?
Did you get any money back? Because you canceled BSI like I did, right?
No, I was there.
Oh, you made it. Okay.
Well, the reason I was there, as much as I was more prone to not going, was because I was asked to introduce the woman. And I just would not back out of that.
Julie, who was it this year?
Dick Sviam's wife, Jennifer
Okay,
Olsen.
got it.
I'm gonna
That
just
makes
do my phone with you.
Okay.
So did anybody else not get money back?
I got money back,
Okay.
but I wasn't sure.
I even got money back from the Sherlock Holmes Society of London for a dinner, which I canceled out because they closed Parliament.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't gonna get a refund for the dinner because I canceled out so late. And but then at the BSI weekend, I'm sitting there Saturday night, and Bill says, "Did you hear what happened in England?" And I said, "What?" He said, "They closed Parliament." And sure enough, my granddaughter, who handles all computer communications for me because I don't know what I'm doing, says, "Yeah, we got back the money."
Good.
Wow. We couldn't go to Dayton because we didn't want to risk infection. So, but we hope to go to the next convention. We'll see. No more family events we have to protect. As far as I know.
That can change.
I see you.
That's true. I turn off the sound. Hi, Claudine. Don. You can unmute yourself. Oh, Donald, we have a very important question that only you can answer. Do you have the Constitution?
I'll get that.
I was reading the Constitution.
Isbin, not Donnie's old.
Yeah, no, Don Isbin.
Donnie, yeah.
Donald. I'm reading the Constitution bylaws of this august organization. And it provides for 3 officers. One is the chief steward / bursar. The third is the scribe. And the second is the protocolarian. Right. Could you please, number 1, translate that for those of us who are ignorant? And 2, explain what the duties of the protocolariat are.
The protocolariat is similar to a sergeant at arms, and he more or less keeps the order at the meetings in general. It's a rather soft job because we've never had any problems at our meetings, thanks to great leadership like you.
You know, I was reading today, I was checking. This is our 35th anniversary.
That's right. It was, we're beginning our 36th year today, and that certainly was a memorable occasion. 35 years ago, we got together. There were about 12 of us, and since then we've grown and prospered, and we've had a wonderful organization, and we pretty much emphasize the hobby aspects of the Sherlock Holmes organizations and what they do to keep the memory green. I think there's a lot too much serious goings on and too much reflection on a lot of serious things that really don't a matter, I don't think, at least in terms
Really,
of.
I'm serious. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's fun not to be serious. I see a prior chief steward, Philip Cunningham. Hello, Philip. Happy to see you here.
Here,
At least we plan to have
Claudine.
Mr. Claudine's a prior chief steward, but Philip is going to be our next presenter.
Oh,
So not tonight, but June.
Yes, sir.
And so
you're the man, Phil.
if we can find out where, and we will let everyone know.
By the way, if I may interject, it's absolutely fabulous to see some faces of some familiar people that I haven't seen in something like maybe 20, 30 years.
We have 58 registrants for tonight,
Beautiful.
and from all over the world. One person from France.
Wonderful. Well, we are the Taurus International, and
Exactly.
we always have had at least one foreign representative.
Dignitary.
Have we ever had any alien representatives?
Well, we have.
There's no telling.
Don, the south side of Chicago isn't foreign.
Oh, really?
He resembles everyone.
Excuse me, George Vandenberg is one of our members.
Right.
Of course, he's from Canada, very
Yeah,
well
Dr. Vandenberg.
publisher, and a member of the Bootmakers, as a matter of fact, as well as the Taurus. And hopefully someday he'll become a Baker Street irregular.
We met George Vandenberg at Stud like 30 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, yes, I remember. George recently had a stroke. I don't know if anyone.
Yeah, but he's been on since the stroke. He was on at the last
He
meeting.
was on a couple
Yes,
meetings this
yes.
week, I think.
He's doing very well, and he's on the road to. It looks like to me to be a complete recovery, and
Here, here.
that's certainly good news. Here is Rudy.
Good.
Yeah, he was on one swimming writers.
Now, who did you have the fight with, Bob?
You should see the other guy, folks.
So we're up to.
This is what happens when you have a fight at a Scion meeting.
Where was the sergeant of arms when you needed it?
Yeah, right.
That was
Yeah,
him.
Rudy.
Bob, how did the other guy look?
I am proud to
I don't
announce.
know how the other guy looked though, Bob, after
Yeah,
that.
right.
They carry him away like on a stretcher or something?
Yeah, he body bag.
I would have liked this happen, but both of my eyes were swollen shut, so I couldn't see him.
I can tell you that in my capacity of chief steward, I'm going to be naming Rudy the sergeant at arms / protocolariat.
My liege, I serve at your pleasure.
I don't have Excalibur here, though. Be careful.
My liege, I serve at your pleasure.
Or displeasure.
Yeah, and then my head comes off.
That's right.
If you want to just kick that under the table.
Well, the thing about a fight, Bob, is you can always say, I broke it up with my face.
Face only a mother could love.
Right.
It's true.
Bob, there's always Baritsu. Don't forget.
It's like the master.
I'm trying.
We've been saying that for years.
Right.
Any news or anything of interest of any of you? Oh, come on, people.
I just got my notice of the Crew of the Bark Lone Star meeting next week. Steve, you want to put in a plug for that?
We have a fun time. We have Mike McSwiggan, who's going to talk about solar ponds and everything that goes along with that. And then for those of y'all that are members, if you did not get a chance to sit in on the University of Minnesota Friends of the Library, we're going to go over the legend and facts of the founding of the Crew of the Bark Lone Star.
I read that.
It's
That'll be good.
What would we do without the University of Minnesota? I ask you all.
We would move everything to the University of North Texas and
Denton, Texas.
I could just see Steve going back and forth, putting stuff in his car, driving it back.
He's a road warrior. He drove all the way to Dayton and back
driving to Atlanta in 2 weeks for
for
221B.
221 count. Wow.
Steve, this is Val. I don't know if that's a smart or a stupendous idea. I said stupendous. But hey, this UNT librarian would proudly say, yes, we'll take anything for Sherlock. Anyway, back to you.
Family, if you live in Texas, driving for hours and hours and hours and hours is going to the movies.
Hello, Sam.
Driving for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I'm echo.
I can't do anything about it.
You can drive for hours and hours and hours and still be in Texas.
You can drive for hours and hours and hours in the New York area and go 4 blocks. Hours and hours in the New York area and go 4 blocks. Why is he doing that?
I think you need, Jonathan, I think you need to mute Margaret.
I think it's Sandy.
Oh, but she wasn't echoing before.
No.
Oh, but she wasn't echoing before.
No.
Damn it, Schimberg, what kind of meeting are you running here?
I can only, my mouse is, I have a small screen. I just did what he asked. I did what Steve told me to do and it's done.
Steve
So
knows what he's doing.
I understand.
I don't care what they say about Mason.
Where's Monica when you need her?
Yeah, right.
Jonathan, if I can make a suggestion, you might make somebody a co-host that their job is to just keep people muted.
Well, the
Because you're probably
problem,
going to be busy running the meeting.
I understand that. Well, number one, I'm going to make our speaker a co-host in case he needs that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to, I don't know that there's anybody else. My life is anybody else. My technically challenged wife is not going to do it. And Rudy's on his phone. So unless there's someone who is willing to volunteer.
If you want to make me a co-host, I'll keep everybody muted.
Yeah.
Should we vote on that?
Should we vote?
I won't promise that I won't mute Julie in the middle of her talking, but
You'd be doing the world a favor.
Don't mess with the nurse, man.
Steve, you're done. You're a co-host. 4 minutes till takeoff.
Buckle your seatbelt.
John,
Yes. 4 minutes till takeoff.
I'm reminding you that you're going to advance Barbara's slides, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I have the slides.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, Steve.
Whether I can figure out when to advance.
hi, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, everybody. Oh, who's that?
Diane.
Where's Diane?
Dorothy. Dorothy.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi.
How are you?
Real good. I just wonder what's in Steve Mason's tank. I see it behind him. Is it the lion's mane?
Yeah, man-eating.
And he's co-hosting. I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
It's actually the Bark Lone Star. That's where it ended up after it sank off the coast of Galveston. It made
And those of us who have had bad stings from jellyfish.
Can I make a short announcement?
Yes.
Thank you. There's going to be a conference in Toronto on September 23rd of this year. It's called Jubilee at 221B. And it's a celebration of the 50th anniversary of both the Bootmakers of Toronto and the Arthur Conan Doyle collection at the Toronto Public Library. And I know there were a number of Chicago Sherlockians at our last conference, the SINS conference in 2012. And we have a wonderful roster of exciting activities and speakers planned, including Nicholas Meyer. So yeah, isn't that exciting?
Such a good speaker.
Yeah, really. So please mark the date, September 23rd, and we hope to see you all there.
Looks like a very, very interesting conference.
Thank you. Yeah, there'll be a lot of publicity about it in the coming weeks.
I can make a quick announcement that we believe that the International Exhibition of Sherlock Holmes will be opening here in St. Paul on October 22nd.
Wow.
Road trip.
For how long?
Probably 3 to 6 months. I'm not sure. We've been
Road trip.
trying.
Yeah.
In October and in the winter driving? Well, okay. Do I love you that much, Julie, to drive up to Minneapolis?
Wait, October is-
I'm just going to be hurt if you're not.
Okay, we may make a road trip.
October 22nd, I think, is the official date, and I hate to be so vague, but we've been trying to get together with the History Center where it's going to be and the Exhibits Development Group, and there's always something happening to one of the involved
Yeah.
parties. So, but as far as I know, it should be done.
Of course, it never made it to Chicago.
Well, this might be your chance, honey.
Well, there is do we all know, I sent out an announcement about the conference at DePaul? Free conference,
Downtown.
downtown campus, a full day of celebrating Sherlock Holmes.
We hope you'll join us.
So it looks very interesting.
My alma mater, so I'm very excited about that.
Go Blue Demons, right?
Yeah, Blue Demons.
Yeah.
I think it's May 7th.
My grandpa went there.
Some of us call it the judge's school. Those of us who are lawyers, because that was your qualification to be a judge. You had to go to DePaul.
No, actually, there are a lot in John Marshall.
I know.
Sorry.
Did you go there?
I went to Marshall.
Yeah, I like.
Oh, now here's the never mind.
And yet they cohabitate.
It's 7 o'clock. I call this meeting to order.
Howard.
I want to welcome you to the 300th annual meeting of the, to the 27th meeting of Tourist International Society. Someone. Not me.
Crone.
It was Crone. Ooh. Okay, let me start off the meeting. I had the fortune to marry a friend who let me join her in her passion. Linda has had a passion for the canon for more years than we've been married. But as a team, we've attended stud meetings together, Crybar Watsonian conventions together, and spent the weekend in Indianapolis to Brett twice. Many years ago, we were fortunate enough to discover that there was a Sherlock Holmes mystery weekend in Union City, Michigan. We happened to have a weekend retreat in Coldwater, Michigan, a hop, skip, and a jump from Union City. We arranged to attend 2 separate weekends, staying at our cabin, but eating our meals with the group and participating in the mystery. We met Sherlock Holmes each time. The presence of Mr. Holmes and the ability to sit down and talk to him at length changed my vision of being a Sherlockian. That's why I'm so proud and fortunate to be able to present this meeting tonight. I'm very, very honored by that fact. And I hope you all appreciate this evening and appreciate Mr. Holmes. So I built this one up so high. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes, but I know you'll do it. Okay, toasts. Let's start with sharing the screen, I hope. And here. And we'll start with Barbara.
Thank you, Jonathan, and congratulations to you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, okay. This year, 2022, will see the commemoration of the 203rd anniversary of the birth of Sherlock's Queen and his 168th. So it is only fitting that we pay tribute to both this evening in an ode to a certain gracious lady and a certain consulting detective. A young princess, when informed of her future, declared, "I'll be good." And indeed, her whole life did the best that she could. Hers was an empire on which the sun never set. No, Jonathan, can you advance the slides? Oh, there we go. That's right. Hers was an empire on which the sun never set. For those 63 years, we owe her a great debt. Her reign was glorious, her life meritorious, noble and regal, her armies victorious, though no longer the longest to ever rule over us. Queen, wife, and mother, we loved her like no other. She never traveled far from home. From England and Ireland, she rarely did roam. Queen from a distance, she never came to our shores, though we loved her and in her name fought her wars. Slide 6, Jonathan?
6.
Yeah, 6 now. With more landmarks in Canada named Victoria than any place else in the world, in the land of the maple leaf, to her our flag was unfurled. The only country that still marks her birthday, Canada honors her every 24th of May. This little verse in a primer I read, describing her world and the life that she led. Beautiful England on her island throne. Grandly she rules with half the world her own. From her vast empire, the sun ne'er departs. She reigns a queen, Victoria, Queen of Hearts. In her name, Sherlock Holmes pledged the villains to foil. The holes in the wall were proof he was loyal. Her initials in bullet pox one still can see, adorning the wall of 221B. For him, the other woman, she always will be. Of his expertise, she was known to avail, assured that good would always prevail. He refused a knighthood, thought it almost a sin, but he did accept an emerald tie pin. Said the queen, no worries, for me it's no hassle. Come pay me a visit at Windsor Castle. For this faithful subject who had passed every test, she pinned his reward right onto his chest. An award that might just as well be a medal, for like a brave soldier, he'd proven his mettle. For lack of fealty, he can never be faulted. Over any obstacle, he'd gladly have vaulted. This steadfast servant was ever keen to be of service to his queen. After each an age was named, a legacy burned in hearts enflamed. One the Sherlockian, the other Victorian. Their names in posterity shall be ever entwined, of their eternal glory, us to remind. Two giants whose monuments were built to last, the mold was broken from which they were cast. So rise now with me, glasses in hand, and drink to the noblest in all the land. To the gracious lady Holmes faithfully served, and to the reward he so well deserved. To Victoria Regina, beloved sovereign, and to Sherlock Holmes, recipient of the Emerald Tie Pin.
Here, here.
Here. Now there's another toast, and I can't remember who it is because I'm old and senile. Anyone want to volunteer? No. Okay. Did you want to? I can't remember. No. Okay, well then let's not have another toast. In that case, we have had announcements of meetings of the Lone Starbark and the Toronto Conference. So let's go on, and Mr. Holmes.
Oh, the master himself.
We're pleased to have Sherlock Holmes addressing us this evening. Mr. Holmes was born in 1854. His ancestors were country squires. However, he claims his grandmother was a sister of the French artist Vernet. He was the world's most famous consulting detective. He is known for his proficiency in observation, deduction, forensic science, and logical reasoning. We know that Mr. Holmes has retired to a small farm on the Sussex Down and taken up beekeeping. Mr. Holmes' appearance is being made possible by Mystery Visits Communications and its director, John C. Sherwood, who serves as Mr. Holmes' scheduler. Under the auspices of Mystery Visits, Mr. Holmes has made hundreds of appearances throughout the United States and the United Kingdom since 1985. Please welcome Mr. Sherlock Holmes as he speaks to us on 10 basic lessons.
It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you so very much. Am I audible? Can I be heard?
Yes, you can.
Excellent. Then I will begin my talk. I hope that you will forgive me. I do ramble on. I am 168 years old, and sometimes I forget that so many people don't have as much time as I do. I will speak about my 10 basic lessons. I suspect that most of you who have read my cases have been charmed sufficiently by the violence, decadence, and mystery to walk away satisfied. However, I know a few of you linger for other reasons. One is to isolate my approaches to successful problem solving. Now, Watson made that difficult for you by stating virtually everything backwards. The poor reader must sift through rampant, untrimmed detail and excesses, descriptions of personalities and social and political musings. As a series of lectures, Watson indeed has presented you with a series of mere tales. However, I am to blame as well. I seldom put restraints on Watson or forced him to set things down properly. My own labors in writing my whole art of deduction are still in gestation, and the latest galley proofs have been lying on my desk for 9 decades. 2 formerly eager publishers already have passed on. I must be concise, so I will avoid any lengthy examination of my tactics. You know them fairly well yourselves, I imagine, how I will put myself into my adversary's mental state, lie in wait for an inevitable outcome, or draw a person out by appealing to their better or baser natures. Again, these are tactics rather than lessons, and it is on the lessons that I will focus, the mindset of the so-called perfect reasoner. I begin with a basic observation, my 10th lesson, if you will. Crime is common. Logic is rare. Therefore, it is upon the logic rather than upon the crime that you should dwell. Now, this was stated in the case known to you as the Copper Beeches from 1889. I confess that I uttered this in a sulky mood while criticizing Watson as a writer. Now, justifiably, Watson regarded it as a grouse uttered in a heated moment. However, to dismiss the observation as inconsequential would be wrong. It actually reflects my attitude toward the craft of detective work and social needs. Logic is the lens by which I examine the crime-riddled world. Naturally, the lens exposes many stains and layers as well as the truth beneath. Thus, we start with the essential lesson that to solve problems presented by crime, deductive and inductive reasoning must be foremost in one's mental toolkit. Now, this remark expresses my wish to reveal truth and impart justice, not merely for my own gain, because through Watson's writings, I'd hoped others might learn to do the same. Logic must be studied for its own sake. It must be described in detail and shared so others might profit. My 9th lesson. There is a strong family resemblance about misdeeds. And if you have all the details of 1,000 at your finger ends, it is odd if you can't unravel this 1,000th and first. Now, this comes from a study in Scarlet, a case from 1881. Methodical accumulation of useful knowledge. It's an extension of my remark from the same tale about what's stored in one's brain attic. Modern forensic techniques have declared me correct. patterns in human behavior are profoundly instructive. Yet those patterns often are invisible to those who are not proficient in the details of criminal activity. Today, the profiler is a familiar contributor to the solution of modern crime. It's a useful practice. Professional ignorance does not lead to bliss or to justice. That's why it's necessary to pore over these patterns to the point of painful repetition, absorbing sufficient information so one might develop a quick recognition of their general shapes. The offshoot of this quest is efficiency. Good clay produces good bricks. In a quick and methodical way, efficient action produces insights applicable to numerous situations and perpetrators. There's a risk of applying this lesson, like the risk of profiling itself. The naive investigator may be tempted to rely on preconceived notions with insufficient data and declare that a pattern exists when none is there. This is the result of prejudice, and you will find me counseling against such thinking again and again. My 8th lesson. The most commonplace crime is often the most mysterious because it presents no new or special features from which deductions may be drawn. This also is from a study in Scarlet, published in 1881. Now, any truth seeker is puzzled when presented with events that have no apparent connection. However, much of the puzzlement really is self-generated. Those of you who have worked with me at the Victorian Villa certainly have experienced this. It's the result of improper technique, inattention to detail, and faulty pattern recognition. But there truly are incidents seemingly so bland in nature that they seem to defy analysis. Even the most typical crime is an unwanted change. Some aspect of it must reflect that change, even if there's no obvious handle one might grasp easily. So how does one begin? The answer lies not in a tactic, but in the realization that one's salvation lies in perseverance. Without it, one risks sinking into hopelessness. Also familiar to some of those who have been to the Victorian Villa. For that reason, I've persisted in asking vital questions familiar to every journalist. Who? What? When? Where? How? Most importantly, I've perpetually asked why, especially when the question reflected an unusual point. Why was this rug rotated? Why should this scrawl appear precisely here? Why should I not consider these well-placed gentlemen as suspects? Why was the dog silent? By applying your own array of knowledge to even the most mundane and seemingly featureless problem, and persistently asking the most vital questions, you may be able to discern a pattern or a point that will guide you to its solution. And now the 7th lesson. Here are 4 statements from 4 different cases, all illustrating my 7th lesson. It is a mistake to confound strangeness with mystery, also from a study in Scarlet. The more bizarre a thing is, the less mysterious it proves to be, from the Red-Headed League. An exception disproves the rule, from the Sign of 4. Singularity is almost invariably a clue, from the Boscombe Valley mystery. Now, consider any jigsaw puzzle. You may not know what the overall picture will be when completed. However, a single exceptionally shaped or detailed piece may reveal a great deal, reducing the overall mystery. A famous form of singularity is the silent dog in the case named for Silver Blaze. It's notoriously difficult to notice the absence of a thing or event, so the incident went generally unnoticed. However, that absence led me to the conclusion that the dog had recognized the intruder. Now, in the problem of Thor Bridge, a chip of stone lay upon the bridge. No reason was apparent for this bit of damage. As matters played out, that bit of data clarified the entire situation. Now, please don't confuse singularity with oddity. All odd events are not important or helpful. Nothing illustrates this point better than the so-called red herring, which calls attention to itself and may point rather deliberately in a false direction. Actually, most red herrings aren't placed deliberately, but are produced in the observer's own imagination, magnified out of proportion because of their seeming strangeness. This act of self-deception often arises from the investigator's own prejudices. Again, prejudices are an evil to be avoided. My sixth lesson. There is nothing so unnatural as the commonplace, from A Case of Identity in 1887. Restated as follows, there is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. The Boston Valley Mystery, again, 1889. Just as the absence of an event may be misleading, so might its presence, especially if it's expected and seems entirely normal. We don't notice our own breathing. Likewise, we are inclined to accept normalcy. That which seems normal, but is not, therefore may escape our notice. This was the premise of a fictional detective story by G.K. Chesterton, The Invisible Man. The murderer committed the crime and escaped attention merely by assuming the characteristics of a perfectly expected, seemingly inconsequential individual. Now, a smoking gun isn't an oddity, say, at a shooting gallery, a huntsman's lodge, or a firing range, and yet the fact that it's smoking must not go ignored. Likewise, in the Boston Valley case, I deduce that a spontaneously obtained weapon probably had been discarded spontaneously. Ergo, I sought a rock that had been moved. The correct one was revealed by fresh grass beneath. Yet earlier, it had been just one of many rocks. Perhaps famous of all unnatural circumstances among my cases was that of the footprints of a gigantic hound discovered near the body of Sir Charles Baskerville in 1888. To the locals aware of Dartmoor legends, the circumstance suggested horrors hideous and supernatural. To me, however, it suggested the presence of a large dog. From that natural fact, I deduced the existence of a place where such a beast might be hidden, as well as a keeper with a motive to frighten or kill. The lesson here is to redefine one's view of what is commonplace, even when encouraged to accept the normal as somehow abnormal. Every normalcy may harbor something unnatural too, and any strangeness may be mere normalcy under the proper circumstances. The task is to determine when those circumstances exist. My fifth lesson. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Stated in The Sign of Four in 1888 and paraphrased in other cases. Now, of all my lessons, this may be the least understood, most abused, and misapplied. Too many of you believe this is my chief guideline, and I insist that it is not. Generally, investigations do not deal much with the impossible, beyond those that emerge through the deliberate practice of testing hypotheses. The mind seizes on probabilities quickly without even regarding the improbabilities and hardly ever considering impossibilities. Confusion and disagreements persist regarding what is impossible and what is improbable. What was impossible before I was born has become quite possible by the time I was in active practice. Transatlantic communication, X-rays, and the fingerprint identification. Much that was impossible in your own youth is commonplace now, including the means by which you and I are communicating today. I frequently made mistakes of improbability, then tried to learn from my errors. I and much of society in my day considered it improbable that a white woman might marry a black man and bear his child. My failure to consider this led to my embarrassment in the case known as the yellow face. a shame I sought to recall if Watson might whisper the name Norbury to me. At one time, I also considered it improbable that a woman might outmaneuver me or delve any ruse that I might apply against her. I keep a reminder of that incident as well in my desk drawer, as you may well know. The lesson is useful, however. The wise mind remains vigilantly aware that it isn't infallible and that the universe often is more inventive than mere imagination. My fourth lesson: never trust to general impressions, but concentrate yourself upon details. That came from the Case of Identity in 1887. Another restatement is, you know my method. It is founded upon the observation of trifles, also from the Boscombe Valley Mystery. Of course, a trifle is a tiny detail that might go overlooked in the broad sweep of observation. My initial recorded utterances about them occurred when their importance still was not generally recognized, understood, or shared by professional detectives, either official or unofficial. In those days, prejudice still ruled, and conclusions often were drawn by assumption. The same condition is rampant on the internet, I've been told. Throughout my career, I've attempted to change that by stressing the connections between tiny points of fact. An example: when I was asked how I had spotted the third bullet in the matter known as the Dancing Men, I replied, because I looked for it. I had noticed a singular detail that generated a hypothesis questioning the official view of suicide. Scotland Yard eventually adopted the minute examination of crime scenes. As a result, thorough, careful searches eventually were conducted as a matter of policy and correct procedure. It was the beginning of modern forensic investigative technique. By focusing on details rather than the general and often prejudiced view, the professionals could throw aside reprehensible old habits, such as assuming guilt by association, and focus on tangible facts. Those who follow suit will gain an astonishing advantage in solving problems and in dealing with life. Now, we come to my grand triad. 3 lessons at the core of so much of my process. Each point is essential and in some way supports the others. My third lesson: I never guess. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. And that's derived from statements made during the Sign of 4 and A Scandal in Bohemia. My whole art of detection might be summarized as never guess, a statement that frames my overall attitude. These 2 words serve as a dynamic mission statement for the detective, attorney, police officer, judge, journalist, physician, and paramedic. After all, from these professions, the public seeks and expects dependability and accuracy. Indeed, above all, the protection of life. Yet, in everyday affairs, human beings are dangerously careless about this point. They preface statements of so-called fact with phrases such as, I think, or I suppose, or I believe. And with these words, the speaker has told you he is assuming, leaping ahead of factual information, drawing conclusions without evidence. He is only hoping, but claiming that he knows. Please, friends, focus on truth, not supposition, hopes, and prejudices. I advise you to know your data and respect it, confirm your information, and avoid building a solution on anything less than a firm foundation. In time, you will speak, think, and act with better clarity and resolve. Now, guesswork as an act of imagination shouldn't be entirely discarded. It permits the reasoner to explore potential sources of information and alternative solutions, that is, hypotheses. For information, we rely on the second lesson. For the solutions, we champion my first lesson. And here they are. my second lesson. It is of the highest importance in the art of detection to be able to recognize out of a number of facts which are incidental and which vital. Otherwise, your energy and attention must be dissipated instead of being concentrated. I also made a statement such as this: I make a point of never having any prejudices and of following docilely wherever fact may lead me. Now, these two remarks, both from the 1887 case known variously as the Reigate Squires and the Reigate Puzzle, I've described a significant part of the scientific method, refined for the practical detective. It is my general approach for an efficient investigation in the discovery of clues and in the location of missing persons and property. This approach also warns us against a great risk. Because of a mental or social inclination, one may embrace a theory before all facts are known. This is the risk of trusting too deeply in one's personal view of patterns. A detective that belongs to a particular racial or ethnic group or to a particular religion may learn that the suspect adheres to the same faith or belong to the same group and conclude that the suspect could not have committed the crime. Naturally, you recognize such thinking as utter foolishness. However, such thinking is just as common as crime. I'm certain I needn't remind you that in the Reigate case, the local police didn't even consider the resident notables as suspects. Why? Because of their social status. My aim often was to accomplish small goals that might build larger ones. In some situations, it wasn't possible to resolve a problem in a bold stroke. I then would parse the challenge into pieces and tackle them singly. Thus, I found the Squire's telltale piece of paper, any number of wrongdoers, and any number of stolen valuables. It's also how I undermined Moriarty's plans. Use your time sparingly. Determine what you have that will help solve the problem. Then determine what you need to complete the picture. Then seek what you need in the place where it must be. If it isn't there, then my ultimate rule must be consulted. It is as follows. One should always look for a possible alternative and provide against it. This was stated in Black Peter, an invention from 1895. I restated it like this. One forms provisional theories and waits for time or fuller knowledge to explode them. It was stated in the Sussex Vampire in 1896. Now, you're confused. Again, I blame Watson's carelessness. My mightiest lesson lies buried in two of my least examined cases, taking place late in my career. As a result, this seems to have been an afterthought. What's doubly shocking is that in the second instance, Watson quotes me as saying that the formation of provisional theories is a bad habit. Bad? No. For the listener's sake and to preserve my modesty, I was speaking facetiously. No. In Black Peter, I declare this so-called bad habit as my first rule. In fact, this rule is the apex of my grand triad. Adaptability is the quintessential tool of the scientist and logician. Remaining vigilantly aware of alternative concepts may be tedious and tiresome, but it's also a mighty talent requiring imagination and perseverance. You've seen how I applied scientific reasoning through the cautious use of hypothesis. Here, I insist on the need to adapt to changes in circumstance or ideas. Without that ability, little can be achieved in detective work or in life. One doesn't remove a suit of clothes from the shop rack and buy it. One tests several to find the proper fit. Similarly, any potential solution must be tested against the facts. Confronted by a problem, the wise mind knows that the first answer that rears up may not be correct. The potential existence of multiple hypotheses demands that the problem solvers select one that fits most or all known facts. Learning to admit error permits one to accept change, to adapt to new situations, and to move forward regardless of the circumstances. While flawed thinking produces incorrect answers, Such answers provide valuable data about what is correct. The truth seeker admits to error, is willing to make mistakes. Paths that are not dead ends thus are revealed, and the persistent pursuer can better identify the correct path. This insight reveals a great truth, that perfect reasoners accept and admit freely that the perfect reasoner does not exist. Each of my lessons is a link of the overall chain of problem solving, but the lesson of adaptation and persistence is the strongest. The person who follows this lesson is likely to find the solution and perhaps even achieve mighty deeds. We conclude by offering the whole art of detection in 20 words. Now, I trust that each of you has pencil and paper at hand, so I will state these slowly. 1, admit error. 2, shun prejudice. 3, never guess. 3, pursue details. 5, discard untruth. 6, verify facts. 7, study vividness. 8, never quit. 9, absorb patterns. 10, share logic. Reduced to 20 words, my primary lessons seem so simple, it's really no great feat to memorize them. Learning to apply them is another matter. But why not try? Those who make the effort stand better prepared to face any puzzle or problem. They might create greater hope for themselves as individuals. By encouraging others to follow their lead in the quest for truth, they may even help shape a community, a society, even a civilization where justice may prevail. Thank you for indulging me. I now defer to the Chief Steward.
Mute my audio. There we go. I want to thank you, sir.
Huzzah!
Excellent.
Right.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Holmes? And if they do, if they could put their name in the chat, then we can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself one at a time, please. He's available for questions.
Your chat, so I could not see it. Your question, if you write it down, I would need to hear it verbally.
I understand. I'm just saying we want to be able to, I don't want 15 people to ask a question at the same time. So is there anyone who has any questions of Mr. Holmes? None?
So, Mr. Holmes, this is Steve Mason. What is your secret for staying so young at 160 years old?
Oh, yeah, there is no secret at all. As you know, I am a beekeeper. Now, I allow you to deduce that there's a substance known as royal jelly, which is well known for its properties that, shall we say, extend, shall we say, good health. Now, I have devised an elixir, which I use rather frequently. I have some of it right here. I share it with only a few people. My brother, of course, my good friend Watson. There are a few others. Mrs. Norton, Mrs. Hudson, of course. I am somewhat bothered by the fact that this has had a strange effect on women. Yes, I am aging. I don't think I look 168, but this substance has a peculiar effect on the female gender in that it seems to make them look positively younger than they ever were. And Mrs. Hudson has begun going out with men.
Okay, let's see. Michael Waxenberg asked Mr. Holmes, how much do you charge for an autograph? Simple question.
You could not afford it.
Good one, Jim.
Steve Mason may want one.
Yes, Steve Mason, he has one already.
Oh,
I have one.
Yes, I noticed.
Rich Christians.
Rich, you had a question. Let's see. A question. Why do you think you were never prosecuted by the Crown for the times you broke the law?
Because it was typically in the best interest of the Crown that I was breaking the law.
Why only 10 rules?
Why not 17?
Why not 17? Or
How much time do you have this evening?
oh, Mr. Holmes, for you, I have 168 years.
Well, as you will recall, I enumerated the number of times I restated certain questions, certain lessons in different ways. And so there actually are a number of them. And if you examine Watson's writings, you will find many more set down, various axioms and so on. But again, I caution you, do not confuse lessons with tactics. When I say that, we must lie silent here and watch, that is not a lesson, that is a tactic, for example.
Someone asked, is this your mouse-colored dressing gown?
Oh, well, that is one I am wearing at the moment, yes.
Yeah, people trying to call me. A wonderfully entertaining evening, and we thank you. I must say that one of my complaints as a Sherlockian is when the BBC, when Jeremy Brett left us and they did not complete the canon, I thought that Mr. Holmes, and I've said it for all the years I've known him, since I first met him, that he would have been an excellent person to complete the filming of the canon. And when I win the lottery big, that's my goal. So, Mr. Holmes, stay around because there's always a chance I'll win the lottery. Maybe we'll do a Kickstarter.
Myself on the television.
Well, I think the canon should be completed in a modern text, and not Basil Rathbone or anything else. I think Mr. Holmes
himself.
Yeah.
You would force me to act myself in the matter of the yellow face, the most embarrassing case that I can think of at the moment. My heavens, I don't know if I want to volunteer for such a task.
We all have been embarrassing or embarrassed in our lives.
As I recall, that first case that you and I solved together some 15 years ago, you had some difficulty applying some of my lessons. As I recall, you advanced by mostly overhearing other people and then following their lead.
Of course.
To embarrass further.
That's what a good lawyer does. First thing we learned in law school. So if there are no more questions, I want to thank Mr. Holmes, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
Rich Krishunas just put something else on the chat.
Something on the chat, let's see. Have you ever investigated that criminal from Michigan, John Sherwood?
You are referring to my scheduler.
Your scheduler, yes.
If you regard that as a crime, then you will have to take that up with him.
Well, I think anyone from Marshall, Michigan has a suspect immediately anyway, having been in contact with a former mayor of Marshall, and among other things. Marshall's famous for the Museum of Magic.
Yes.
Oh. No, that's where the Magic Weekend is. But Marshall has a magic museum that, if you're old, it's hard to get into. They also have a Civil War museum.
Yeah, but I don't know if she died. The magic shop.
The magic shop lady
She
died?
Yeah.
And my understanding from Mr. Sherwood is that the museum still exists and is being supervised by a board of directors despite the death of its founders.
Good,
Okay.
good. No, we don't have our place in Coldwood anymore. So, but again, thank you very, very much.
Thank you
There was
very much.
another question in the chat. Mr. Holmes, will you be making an appearance at the Gillette Castle this spring?
Nothing is on the schedule at the moment that I'm aware of. I will have to talk to Mr. Sherwood about that. He keeps things from me and sometimes springs things on me so I cannot say that anything is planned at this point.
I've been to the Gillette Castle with my wife. At that point, there was nobody. We just walked in. There were no supervisors, no guards, no anything. You could just walk around, and it was a lovely, lovely experience. But I know that your schedule has been active in keeping that place going, and it's a fact. You should, if you haven't been, you should go.
It is a delightful place. Mr. Gillette kept a very fine house.
Yes. Anything else?
John?
Yes.
John, it's Donnie. About, in answer to Rich's question and Mr. Holmes's answer, Sherlock Holmes was put on trial at a conference, I think it was around 2016, Julie McCuris could correct me, at the Norwegian Explorers Conference in Minnesota. And the trial, there was a written trial in the BSI series, professional series book, Lawyers of the Law.
The canon law?
It's called Canon Law, as you know, and there was a you had the prosecution statement, the Holmes acted for himself, and then a judgment was written by the Chief Justice. So that was in canon law. I'm not going to tell you how it turned out.
How intriguing. I do not recall standing in the dock.
I've stood on the dock, but not at the dock. Okay, Linda, you ready for 221B?
I am.
Are you unmuted?
Let me unmute myself.
No, you go. I
You
have to
unmute
mute.
yourself.
Yes, ma'am. One moment. High tech.
Just wait for the feedback.
Done.
We're still showing that you're.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we said it. Next, excuse me. Our next meeting
is June 27th.
We already said it. And it'll be Phil Cunningham speaking, and place to be announced. Go.
Okay.
Turn up your volume.
Let me see where I'm at. I guess. Oh, you're right. Okay, here we go. Here dwell together still two men of note who never lived and so can never die. How very near they seem, yet how remote. That age before the world went all awry. But still, the game's afoot for those with ears, attuned to catch the distance view. Hello, England is England yet, for all our fears. Only those things the heart believes are true. A yellow fog swirls past the window pane as night descends upon this fabled street. A lonely hansom splashes through the rain. The ghostly gas lamps fail at 20 feet. Here, though the world explode, these two men survive. And it is
1895.
We have recorded this meeting. It will be posted on YouTube. You can tell your friends if they did not have an opportunity to attend. Probably within the week. I'll post it.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Have a good evening.
My thanks to all of you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Great
Bye-bye.
Sherlock Holmes.
Good evening and good luck.
Yes, yes.
First time I saw
He doesn't hang out.
He's been to the